I gotta come clean, alright? I think it's just right for you guys to know. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys out there already know through word of mouth and things like that, but you know, I think it's just right for the rest of you to hear it directly from me. But I have never owned a turbocharged car. I know, okay, I know, I get it, alright? I get asked the question all the time, like, Gels, how in the world have you gone this long with the amount of cars that you've owned and have not owned a single turbocharged car? And, you know, it's a great question. So I figured I'd go through all of the cars and how they've not been turbocharged and like what led to the decision of getting those cars and just how I've avoided getting a boosted car for so damn long. So before we get into all that, please, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends who maybe don't have a boosted car either, because I know I can't be the only one out there unless I am, and that might just be a little bit sad. But anyway, starting off, okay, so when I was first getting into cars, you know, right around the same time I had gotten my license, you know, I'd been interested in cars before then, you know, growing up in the era of Need for Speed and Fast and Furious and, you know, all the other stuff that car enthusiasts my age grew up with. But when the time had come for me to finally get behind the wheel of an actual car, I started putting the pieces together, you know, of like, hey, I can actually go get a car that I want, and I can do things to the car that I want to do, like the video games and like the movies and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, man, this is gonna be really cool. And you know, maybe I could get one of those cars from the games or the movies. And that's exactly what I did. I was dead set on getting a Mitsubishi Eclipse. That's like all 16-year-old me wanted, was a second gen Mitsubishi Eclipse more than anything else in the world. And oh yes, the legendary bright green Eclipse from the first Fast and Furious movie probably had a pretty, you know, big impact on the decision that I wanted to make. I really always thought that it like came back to Need for Speed Underground. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the opening sequence of the game. It's right after the whole EA games. And the freaking 2G Eclipse comes flying through the tunnel. There's parts getting slapped on it left and right. It like goes from bone stock to just absolutely wicked. And I'm like, I'm gonna have that car one day. I want that car, and that is exactly why I wanted a 2G Eclipse. And it would just so happen that one would literally just end up falling in my lap. Looking back on it now, the odds of something like this happening in small town northern Wisconsin have to be better than winning the lottery. And I really mean that, because like, those cars just don't exist up there. Like, that wasn't a thing, especially at this time. It was like 2013, like, everyone was into trucks, like that's all that was up there. A two-door Mitsubishi from the 90s was just like, no one had that. Obviously, my parents knew that I wanted the car and was looking for a car like that simply because I just wouldn't shut up about it. I would just talk about it all the time. And naturally, my mother, being the school teacher that she is, knew everyone in town. I mean, it's like 2,000 people. She either taught them or taught their kids. There was just no way around it. And she remembered that there was one student that had one of these cars back in the day. And I was like, well, what are the odds that that thing is still around? I've never seen the car. I've never heard about the car. I've never heard about this person. I don't even think they live here anymore. You know, whatever. Well, sure as shit, with the power of Facebook and social media, she was able to track down the person like the little sleuth that she is and reached out to them. And guess what? He still had the car. And guess what? It was still near where we were. Now, the car itself was in pretty rough shape. It had been sitting in a shed for like the last 5 years at the time. The timing belt snapped on the engine, so everything ran into each other. The engine was toast. It was dented. It had some rust in spots. The mice from, you know, the shed had made their way inside and, you know, made their home in there. It was a little rough. The car was missing pieces. It needed new paint, all that sort of fun stuff. But he was just looking to get rid of it, and it was still there. And I was there. And for literally $5 to transfer the title over to my name, I had the car that I was looking for practically nothing. Now, to keep a long story short, I put so much time and money into this car, and you know, to get it driving and to get it looking decent and to get things done to it. And yes, it was a GS model, one of the base model of the Eclipses. And for you non-DSM guys and gals out there, basically what that means is it did not have the Mitsubishi 4G63 turbocharged engine. No, it had the other one, the Chrysler 420A engine, which was naturally aspirated and basically just made the car a glorified Neon. Alright? But at the time, I simply did not care. I had my Eclipse and I couldn't pass up on that kind of opportunity. I had that car for a long time. I mean a long time. I obviously loved it. I went through a lot with it. I learned a ton with it. It was like the first car that I really started wrenching on. And you know, with being in Wisconsin, we get hit with some harsh winters. And with harsh winters come other not so great things, like salt. And if you don't know, salt literally eats cars. And, you know, with putting that much time and energy and money into a car that I've been looking for a long time and wanted more than anything else, I didn't want the salt to eat my Eclipse, which meant I had to go find a winter beater. Enter in my 1995 BMW 325i, alright? E36, 4-door sedan. It was manual. It was $900. It was rear-wheel drive. It had heated seats, so it made sense for a winter beater. It was a fucking blast to drive all year round. It didn't matter that it had 200,000 miles, that the rockers were rusted, that the rear quarters were rusted off, that the driver's side window never rolled down because the regulator was broken, or the fact that I had to like push start at 50% of the time. I had a fun, cheap beater that I could drive all year round. And honestly, it lasted way longer than that thing ever should have. Got me throughout the rest of high school, through college, outside of college, moving across the state a few times. I mean, looking back on it, it's honestly incredible that that thing was able to do what it did, let alone me having the confidence to actually jump in that friggin' death trap, to just trust it to go wherever I needed to go. But again, it was a non-turbocharged car, but it didn't really matter because I got what I needed out of it. So fast forward a few years, my now wife and I moved to Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's right, we moved south. We got out of small town Wisconsin and went to the big old city of Green Bay, which is still really, in reality, not that big. But it was a big move for us, and we got an apartment. We were living together for the first time. You know, it was crazy because I went from working a part-time job at an O'Reilly Auto Parts to a full-time career as a design engineer at a company. And you know what? Those paychecks hit a little different from working at a part-time at a parts store to like a full-time salary career thing. And you know, with all that, I still had the Eclipse. I still had the 325i for some reason. And you know, it was time to take that next step. It was time for me to go out and get my first actual new car. Hey everyone, real quick, I know I'm interrupting the story and I apologize, but I just wanted to give you all a quick update on something pretty cool. I'm excited to announce that I have a little partnership thing going with Vivid Racing right now. Instead of telling you guys about some mobile game you're never gonna play or an app to help you build a website, I'd rather give some promotion to a company that I've actually purchased parts from in the past and have had a great experience with. And honestly, it's one of the first places I go to when I'm looking for new parts for my car. So whether you're looking for some new parts for your car or if you just want to check it out and see what they have to offer, go down in the description of this video and click that link. Something as simple as checking that out helps me keep doing what I'm doing and making videos for you guys. So go ahead, check it out down in the description below. But that's it, that's all. Back to the video. So naturally, as a 23-year-old with a little bit of a disposable income, I set my eyes on a Hyundai Genesis Coupe, baby. That's right. That was my goal. I wanted to get into a Genesis Coupe, specifically the 2.0 Turbo Genesis Coupe. But so be it, I just couldn't find one, which I thought was super weird because like, I feel like they were a pretty popular car. We were in a bigger area of Wisconsin. There was dealerships all over the place, but I just couldn't find the one that I wanted. And if I did, it was already sold before I even had the chance to go check it out at the dealership. So even though I was really trying to get into a Genesis Coupe, it just wasn't happening. I was taking my time and I was like, you know what if I just kind of opened up my search a little bit into some other options, where I just so happened to find my 2013 Scion FRS. Now, a lot of you probably know me for this car. It's really what started a lot of things for me. You know, it's where I really started to get into taking photos and doing videos of like installs and things like that. And eventually, you know, changing up my career path a little bit. But you know, we're gonna talk about that. And I absolutely love the car. I think it's a fantastic platform. It was super easy to modify. It handled great. It drove fantastic. Maybe it wasn't the quickest thing out of the box, but it was a newer car for me and I've never had that. And it was, you know, easy to work on things because things were corroded or rusted or like seized onto places. So it was like damn, this is nice. And honestly, I really have nothing bad to say about the car except for the fact that it didn't have a turbo once again. And if I had the actual funds to go spend at the time $4,000 on a turbo kit, I probably would have. But I was enjoying doing other things like installing my first set of coilovers and getting my first set of wheels for the car and like learning the tuning aspects of cars. I had like an open flash tuner, and then I, did stuff with that. And it was a lot of fun and kind of got rid of the stupid torque curve that those things have. But if I'm being completely honest, at the time I just didn't care. I was having fun with the car. But after owning the car for 4 years and kind of doing what I wanted to it, the next step was either to like go crazy and do like some sort of wide body or to turbo it or do something crazy with it, because at that point I kind of had reached the end of what I wanted to do with it. Even though I was still enjoying it, I wasn't looking at like modifications for it anymore. I was kind of just enjoying it as is. But I still had that itch to work on something and to build something and to wrench on something. So I went and bought a Mazda RX-8. The RX-8 I compared a lot to the Eclipse when I had it. It was one of those childhood dream cars that I just wanted for some reason. And I told myself that one day I was gonna have one. And sure enough, one day I was browsing around on the internet. I found one for a good price. It was pretty local. And I wanted to get into a rotary platform, but RX-7s and stuff at the time were just out of my reach. I just couldn't afford that. And I'm like, well, this car is like $6,000 and I could go get it now. So I did. Now, I didn't even realize that I had this problem of like buying NA cars until Dakota pointed it out. He's like, Gels, what the hell are you doing? And it really kind of got amplified, and like the inside joke between me and all my friends of me never owning a turbo car, like really excelled and got like fuel poured on the fire when I bought the 240 with a KA. Like that was kind of like the final straw where someone's like, Gels, we gotta have an intervention here. Something needs to happen. And what I've come to realize is that this is 100% my fault. These are my doings. This is all self-inflicted. As most of these decisions I've come to realize now were very impulse decisions. They were like, yep, gonna do it. I am a very impulsive person when it comes to these things for some reason. And also for some reason, those impulses come in the form of a sub 200 horsepower rear wheel drive, naturally aspirated car for whatever reason. And a lot of my friends have tried to come up with their own conclusions as to why I have been like cursed with this. And they're like, oh, maybe he just doesn't know what he's missing. He's never driven a turbo car. He's never experienced something with boost in it before. And it's like, no, I have. I've driven plenty of turbo cars. I absolutely love them. There's no reason why I shouldn't have gone and bought one. I just didn't. And yeah, I know what I'm missing. Because when I hop back in mine and it doesn't have all the cool noises and the extra power and things, it gets a little sad. But for whatever reason, just never made it happen. But hopefully someday, and hopefully someday soon. I don't know when, I don't know what that's gonna look like, if it's gonna come in the form of buying a different vehicle with a turbo on it, or turbocharging one of my existing vehicles. I don't know. All I do know is that if I don't eventually make this happen, Dakota is going to beat the shit out of me. So with all that, if you've made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this video. First of all, go ahead and drop a pretzel emoji down in the comments so I know that you watched the full video, and then it's going to like really confuse the people who didn't watch the full video and like, what the hell is up with all the pretzel emojis? Plus, I just really like pretzels and I kind of want one right now, and that's all I can think of. But seriously, thank you guys so much for everything. We're closing in on 10,000 subscribers so freaking quick here. It's absolutely insane. So if you want to be a part of that, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Also, like this video again, share it with your friends who don't have a boosted car either. Maybe they can get a laugh out of it and maybe help me understand why the hell I have just not made that decision with all the decisions that I have made. Because, like I said, there's got to be more of me out there. I can't be the only one. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Again, check out that link down in the description. That will help out a ton as well. But other than that, that's all I got. I have no more excuses at this point. If the next car that I buy isn't turbocharged, you guys need to hold me accountable. And you need to let me know that I fucked up. So, again, thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.